Hello, it's Andrea. I just got a message on my phone that says that the network connection isn't good and that I can't go live. I don't know if this is live right now. So if you're seeing this, let me know. It says live in the corner, but it doesn't say that it's connected. Anyways, I'm gonna give this a try. Hi. I decided that I was gonna shuffle things around, and I moved everything in my living room. And I don't know if I'm happy with it, but I figured this gives you a different view. It's more exciting. You can see more of the table. You can see my tarot card collection, which is sad and small right now because I left a bunch of my tarot cards in Victoria. And I was trying to fly from Victoria to Montreal, and I was 10 pounds over the limit of the bag, and usually they're pretty lenient, and I just put on a cute face, and I'm like, oh, it's okay, no worries. And this time they're like, no, it's an extra $100, and I was like, there's no way, and it turned into this big thing of me, like, my suitcase open, and I'm shuffling things around, and like, bras and panties and tarot cards and journals, and like, all the things are just all over the floor in the airport, and it was all very exciting, and my parents were just like, oh my god, girl, what are you doing? Anyways, so it was all because of the tarot cards. But that is why I do not have my full collection. But I decided I was going to do a live today. Yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting time, I would say, for the past 2 days with energetically feeling something like today, for example, flashing back and forth between being really cold and really hot, and then like feeling my chronic pain being really, really intense, and then all of a sudden it just like goes away, and then it comes back with a vengeance. And usually that would have to do with what it is I'm doing physically, but this time just it's sort of coming in and out of nowhere. So that's been interesting. Yeah, so, and then like with the energy and emotions that I've been feeling, doing something that a friend of mine named Herb, who is a cacao shaman, he calls porpoising, or his teacher, his cacao shaman teacher or mentor, Keith, who is the owner of a company called Keith's Cacao, and he lives in Guatemala at Lake Atitlan. What they call porpoising. So the animal, a porpoise, kind of like jumping up and going under and jumping up and going under. And you can look at your emotions in this way, where you can have these sort of elevations into bliss, and then coming down into sadness and despair, and then sort of everything in between, and then up and then down, and then up and then down. And I find that sometimes when you're sort of on the precipice of waking up to something profound or waking up to a new piece of knowledge, Herb has told me that you can porpoise quite a lot. So it can be like really up and down and feel a little bit scattered and all over the place. So that's kind of been the energy over the past few days. But yeah, I did physiotherapy yesterday, and I'm feeling a fair bit better. And I lay upon my bed of nails, which is my acupressure mat. It's amazing. I can lie on this thing, and everyone goes, oh my god, how can you lie on that? It looks so uncomfortable. It's got all these plastic spikes on it, and it's like, it's the only thing that brings me relief. So I can lie on it forever, and I've fallen asleep on this thing. So I did that this morning, and I'm feeling good. So I figure we're going to read. I'm just going to turn the heat down in my living room because I feel very, very warm right now. I'm sure in 5 minutes I'm going to be freezing again, but this is life. Okay, so we're going to do a reading for the collective energy, and then I think I'm going to spend some time recording the monthlies. If you haven't already been over to the YouTube channel, I do monthlies for the zodiac signs, so whatever your sun sign is, sun, moon, rising, Venus as well. Whichever one resonates with you, you can explore the different readings, and they will be posted for November. So I'm going to get started on those. But let's do the collective read for today. I hope you're doing well. I felt called to some interesting decks today, ones that I don't always use. We're going to use the Rider-Waite-Smith. We're going to use the Psychic Tarot. I'm thinking maybe the Carolyn Miss Archetype deck. So we'll see about that. This deck is an amazing deck. I'm always talking about archetypes, right? Because that's what the tarot is sort of, the system is built on the use of archetypes. And I really love Jungian psychology, and Carl Jung named many of the archetypes. So this deck is the Carolyn Miss. Yes, Carolyn Miss archetype cards. So we're going to use those as well. What do we want to do first? We'll come back to those. Yeah. And then maybe some goddess guidance. We'll see. We're all over the place today. Okay. So. Gonna find out what it is that the collective needs to know today. Can't for the life of me remember what the date is. The joy of working from home, all the days blend together. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for a reading, usually my reads are about $80 to $120 depending on what the spread is and how long we go. I'm currently doing a sale. They are $55 and I'm open to trades and sliding scale at the moment. I'm not booking a lot of readings. I'm quite busy with my coaching course right now, but if you are interested, you can reach out and let me know. Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. Yep. Okay. Yep. Interesting. I hope we get some people hopping on. I know I'm doing this in the middle of the day, so most people are at work, so no one's watching. But if you watch it on the replay, please feel free to comment. I see all the comments. If I don't respond, I'm sorry. I'm just, social media sort of overwhelms me at a certain point, so I kind of just shut down and stop responding. But you can always try me. I try to respond. I'm usually late. Okay, we've got 4 out here, but I want to get one more. Tell me if you like this setup better, because you can see the cards, kind of, sort of. Do let me know if that works better for you. There we go. Okay, so, yeah. Interesting. So, the energy that we have on the bottom of the deck is the 4 of Pentacles. The Pentacle energy. Pentacles represent the body. It represents health. It represents home, and it represents financial abundance. It represents money, institutions, so school, learning, education, all of those things. It can radiate over to other issues beyond that when it's an overarching energy, and that was what was on the bottom of the deck. So if you look at the 4 right here, it's a very shut down energy. It is not really wanting to budge, not wanting to, I don't know, I keep hearing like secrets. There's secrets. I don't know who's got secrets. Maybe you have a secret. Maybe someone else has a secret. Not wanting to share secrets. There's like shutdown happening at the moment, or an impasse, an inability to communicate about something. I always think it's really interesting that this individual has 1 pentacle on the head, 1 in front of the heart space, and then 1 under each foot. So this makes me think about being shut down if it's not about a financial, so not wanting to spend money and really, really saving, because that could be what's going on for you. It could be matters of awakening, so someone going through an awakening process. I'm touching my head because I'm thinking of the crown chakra. And oftentimes when we're going through an awakening process, we do shut down. We don't necessarily talk to a lot of people. Maybe you go to retreat. Maybe you just meditate a lot. Vipassana meditation retreats, or I went to Hridaya meditation retreat. So mine was, Hridaya means heart-centered. We sometimes go into shutdown when we're going through an awakening. And what's really interesting about that is a really amazing teacher of mine conceptualized when you go through periods of grief, sadness, sometimes depression, though depression is very complicated and has many neurophysiological and genetic factors as well. But in the spiritual realm, depression can be the soul on the precipice of its next level of awakening and recognizing that it can't thrive in the current environment. So then either an environmental change needs to happen, an emotional and wisdom-based change needs to happen. So allowing yourself to grow and move into your realization, or falling completely into the despair, which is not the option that we want to do, because that means we get stuck in this. This is shutdown energy, whereas the first card that actually came out was the Hermit. So the Hermit is not shut down, but it is meditative energy. So the Hermit is all about going within. And what I love about the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is that the Hermit doesn't have a candle inside of the lantern. It's the Merkaba star. And the Merkaba star is very, very special to me for many, many reasons. But that star does represent divinity, and it represents the heart chakra in yogic traditions. And it also represents the merging of the conscious and the unconscious. So as above, so below, as below, so above. So it's talking about the play between the conscious reality and then the inner work that we do, the shadow work that we do. So the Hermit is a great card because we're talking about going into a mode where maybe you don't want to go out much, maybe you just want to spend time to yourself, but it is aimed more at personal growth. It is about transformation, and it's also a very comforting card because it acknowledges the fact that we're not always going to feel that great and gives us permission to go into the hermit crab, staying home, meditating, journaling, doing art, expressing ourselves, doing the shadow work. It also brings a sense of validity and actually kind of wraps up with a bit of love and kindness in that validation times when we go through depression or deep anxiety, incapacitating kinds of anxiety. These phases are not necessarily one of the places where we want to get stuck. But if we loosen our grip on the expectation of what we think we're supposed to be, so if we start to let go of this, I'm supposed to be happy, I'm supposed to be socializing, I'm supposed to be this, that, like energetic, career-focused, having romance, whatever it is, if we start to loosen our grip on the expectations, this really is symbolized in our Four of Pentacles card, when we let that go, all of a sudden that closed off space of being alone is given a spiritual meaning and is given a validation. It's okay to go through those phases, and we all go through those phases at some point. Most of us don't talk about it. So you might think that you're the only person going through something like that, the only person experiencing depression or anxiety, or just not wanting to see people, or feeling chronically fatigued, or whatever it is that's taking you away from what you think you're supposed to be doing. But on the spiritual journey, so the hero's journey, heroine's journey, or the fool's journey from Fool card, which is 0, to the World, 22, which is enlightenment, this is a very necessary step, being the Hermit, and it's okay and it's divinely guided, even if it's painful. So it's not necessarily painful. This is a collective read, so, take it how it resonates. But the next card is the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups for me is actually the Counselor card. It is the Healer card. And it's interesting because she, to me, in combination with the Hermit, this is speaking to self-care. This is speaking to self-love. This is speaking to going through a necessary process of awakening that might be hard and might be taking you away from what you think you're supposed to be doing and achieving and experiencing in your life. And it's necessary, it's divinely guided, and it's okay. It has everything to do with cup energy. She's the Queen of Cups. Cups is water element, which means emotions, matters of the heart, and love. Okay? And I really get the sense that this is about self-love. This is about acknowledging that it is okay to be feeling what you're feeling right now, even if that's a feeling of isolation. Even sometimes in a group, you might not be hermiting really hard. You're trying to push yourself to be social, and yet when you're there, you're kind of like, I'm not vibing with these people. I'm thinking about deep existential things. And the existential dread is starting to seep into my social life. You're not the only one. And this is just a nod, these two cards together, really acknowledge that that's okay where you are on your path. Hello, Raina. If you're interested in a private read, you can go to the page and you can book there. So when we acknowledge and give ourselves the space to do this emotional work, to do the shadow work, we are going to come out victorious. The Queen of Cups, she is the emotional maturity card. She's the emotional intelligence card. She's the one who's done so much work that she's actually grounded enough. That massive marble throne is not going to get washed away by the water. No matter how high it comes, she's pretty steadfast in looking at the cup and knows what her identity, her purpose, and her goals are. She stays grounded in that. And it's going to allow you, if this is your energy, to actually help other people. But you must help yourself first. It's not selfish. It's not self-involved. So don't let people tell you that. As long as you're not bringing harm to anyone else, self-care is extremely important. It's vital. It's the foundation. So it's interesting that we say foundation because the 4 energy, we've got another major arcana, the Emperor energy comes out. Now, the Emperor represents 4. 4 is for foundation and stability. What you could be doing right now is creating emotional stability by going through this phase. The other thing is this could represent the divine masculine. It could represent a boss. It could represent, I was going to say career, but I don't feel like that's it. I think that what's being created is a foundation and self-love and self-acceptance that feels a bit painful right now and has someone, maybe you or your person, feeling significantly closed off. Yeah. I keep getting multiple words at the same time. I heard shyness and silence. There's yeah, so either the divine masculine energy, which can be embodied by any gender, but the divine masculine energy is feeling closed off, or there's the possibility that this process is, like the shadow work, is about stepping into the divine masculine energy. So if you're not a person who has considered themselves very yang, fiery, or entrepreneurial, or maybe not great at boundaries or standing up for yourself, this is a time of developing that foundation. That's what this work is all about, and that's what's going to come out of this sort of lull, this more quiet period. So I'm just going to take a drink. And this opens up to an opportunity to, so we've got another major arcana. I love that we have 3 major arcana and we've got 2 queens. So, divine feminine folks, if you're embodying the divine feminine energy, we've got a lot of that going on as well. So maybe this is for you, divine femme. The Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune is a very interesting, a very, very mystical card. There is so much symbolism on here. And it's got signifiers of the fixed signs. And it represents the potential to basically take another swing at life. So if you have gotten into a mindset of thinking that, oh, woe is me, it's all over, I've messed it up and I can't change anything, this current process that you're moving through, you're going to shed that mindset. You're going to come through with emotional maturity because you've created the foundation with the Emperor energy. Or it could be clarity about a romantic situation that allows you to move into a completely different phase of your life. That could be a potential as well. The Wheel of Fortune is an opportunity to spin the wheel and completely transform. Take another path, take a completely new mindset. And because they're major arcana cards, this is not just how it's playing out in your everyday life. This is massive steps on the spiritual path. Again, we've got 3 major arcana cards. Major arcana is your spiritual journey. It's the path towards your awakening. So the Wheel of Fortune is all about having an opportunity for you to completely shift the perspective and move forward with that. And I get the sense that you're really going to do that, because the following card is the Queen of Swords. So we go from this hermit energy and shutdown, building emotional maturity and understanding, self-love, either regarding a romantic situation with the divine masculine, however that resonates, or in developing your divine masculine. So moving forward, changing how you want to move through the world. It's literally self-love and self-empowerment. Like, this is my jam. I love it. I'm so enthusiastic about this stuff. And I'm really excited for the collective. If it's not feeling like this is where you're at right now, you're still in hermit mode, divinely guided, let yourself experience that. Then once we've spun the wheel, Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is, again, it's like she's regal, she's royal, she's very well established in the process of moving through that element. So we're talking air element, which is this kind of knowledge, knowing versus wisdom, right? So you're going through a process of developing emotional mastery, which is developing your awakening of heart wisdom, moving from the heart. Then once you've developed enough of this fire element energy, divine masculine, yang energy, you're ready to spin the wheel, and you move forward with clarity. This is knowing your truth with a capital T. This is knowing your message. This is knowing what is okay and what is not. This is cutting through the BS. This is knowing, this is the clarity card. So much of us don't have clarity, and when you don't have clarity, which is like a foundational element in order to get what you want, if you don't have it, you really can't move forward. You really can't. You can kind of move through life and go with the flow, but generally speaking, even people who do that have a sense of clarity of at least who they are, and maybe that's what comes through. Maybe you don't know where you're going, but you're very clear on who you are, what your values are, what it is that you will and will not put up with in your life anymore. And I want to make it really clear, like, I'm a mystic person, I'm pretty woo-woo, but I do have to say, I do not believe that we manifest negativity into our lives. That's victim blaming. Okay, so if anyone says that to you, I don't believe in that. What I do believe, and I had a great conversation with a friend this morning about it, is that I do believe that people who are good for us and bad for us will continue to move through our field and come into contact with us through our lives. And what we do as we do our self-work and we transform is we get better at determining, we get more clear on figuring out right away if someone is meant for us or not. Is that a friend that I'm really going to benefit being in a friendship with? Is this romantic relationship going to be fruitful, loving, beneficial, even if it's not long lasting, because we have many different types of connections in our life. So getting very clear on what your values are, what you think about your own worthiness, and what you want to allow into your life and what you're going to cut away. That is what the Queen of Swords energy is all about, and I really, really love that. Yes. So let's do some clarifications because we only have the 5 cards. Clarify the Hermit card and see what comes up. If you haven't already, please do go to the YouTube channel and check out the monthlies. I mean, we're at the end of October, so I'm going to be putting up monthlies for November soon, but please do subscribe. When we get to 1,000 subscribers over there, then I can do lives over on YouTube, which is going to be way more fun for expanding our community. Okay, sorry, I got distracted by the card that came up. So we're clarifying the Hermit. What came out, and I don't usually do reversals with this deck. The author of this deck says don't do reversals, but I do think that this is quite profound. I don't know why it came out upside down, because I don't shuffle these with them in the inverse. But memories of love. Memories of love. So this is the 6. It's the Six of Cups, Six of Water energy. It represents nostalgia, and it came out in reverse. So there are feelings that are coming up as you're going through the hermit mode and you're developing the emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, and groundedness in your hermit phase. It has to do with inner child work. It really does. It has to do with going to those places in the shadow and actually sitting down, going inside, and asking yourself, what does my inner child need? Because we all have needs that we keep trying to get met through external sources, whether it's validation or in our romantic relationships, or still hoping that our parents or caregivers are going to give us the thing that they aren't capable of giving us because they're the ones that weren't able to meet those needs in the first place, right? So this phase of going inside instead is allowing us an opportunity as a collective to actually have the conversation with the inner child in this nostalgic energy and listen and find out, what is it that my inner child actually didn't get, still needs, and is making them take control over things like, can you imagine a child being in charge of your romantic life, your sex life, making major decisions in your life? No, you don't want 6-year-old version of you in charge of those things. And yet so many of us live our lives that way because we haven't gone inside, done hermit mode, and actually figured out what it is that we need, right? So that's why this came out upside down, because the nostalgia means inner child work. It's not feeling so great right now, but it's going to be this huge release. It's going to feel so good once you go there. So try sitting down, maybe put a pillow in front of you, imagine your inner child in front of you, and have a conversation. Ask the inner child, what is it that you need from me in order to help you thrive and stay in your own lane and not be in charge of all these adult things that I'm trying to do. This is really, really profound work. It's really important. It's coming up a lot in the collective for those who are going through phases of grief, depression, or just sadness, bad day. What is the need that's not getting met? Because ultimately we have to meet our own needs, and that's a really difficult thing to accept. But that's how we shift into our adult self and our cohesive self. Let's clarify the Queen of Cups here. What do we want? There it goes. Of course. Onto the floor. Queen of Cups. Throat chakra. That's interesting. That throat chakra comes out because the throat chakra is more connected to the Queen of Swords, and yet it comes out under the Queen of Cups. So something that's causing you to shift into a place of more emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, and grounding yourself is going through this difficult period. And what needs to be healed is inner child work and allowing that inner child to have the voice to communicate to you, your adult self, what it is that they need in order to thrive in the world. And in addition to that, as we move into the Emperor energy, which is finding foundation, but also Yang energy, divine masculine, and that would be more like solar plexus, so finding your fire and assertiveness in the world, that's going to come through figuring out what is it that you stand for, what is your message, what do you want to communicate. And these don't have to be big, grandiose things. Not everyone's going to be a YouTube star. Not everybody's going to be, a rock star or a famous person. You don't have to be that. If everyone was trying to be famous, that would be an awfully crowded stage and then there would be no audience, right? So we don't need to do that. But what it means by healing the throat chakra is maybe asserting your boundaries and communicating very lovingly and gently with people who are pushing you in ways that don't feel natural and feel right to you. So getting clear on what it is that you want in your healing and speaking to the inner child, listening to the inner child, and then being very clear with others about what it is that you need from them, whether it's distance or connection, while recognizing that you can communicate all of this with kindness and grace. One of my best coaches taught me that. You can deliver any message with kindness and grace, but no one else can meet your needs, right? That's all you. That's all you. Oh, there it goes. Waiting game. Okay, so if the Emperor in this case represents a romantic relationship, so the divine masculine energy, if that's the message for you, it's the waiting game. Okay, maybe the relationship isn't coming in. Maybe a current connection is like pretty stagnant and there's just like nothing happening. That could be very true. If it's you trying to find your yang power, your energy, and like really engaging with this new empowered self, be patient with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. You are planting roots. I don't know if you can see this, but the roots go down as high as the branches. So as we've talked about in many of the past readings, we're moving into the season of autumn and winter. And we're doing that not only in the 3D around us, it's actually going to turn into winter. We're doing that spiritually and in terms of our actual growth. We need to put the roots down. I've said this so many times, and I need to say it for myself. We need to put the roots down as deeply as we possibly can, and that's happening in the winter, so that when spring and summer come and we grow and we explode with leaves and fruit that are so heavy, we don't become uprooted and fall over because there wasn't enough foundation. And again, Emperor energy, energy of the fours. Fours means foundation, okay? The waiting game. I'm gonna hold it up so you can see it again. Man, I'm getting hungry. Okay, Wheel of Fortune. Got more people on watching. If you're watching, say hi. I would love to hear you, see you. Hope you like the new angle. I don't know if this is helpful. Being able to like kind of see the cards a little bit like that. Bringing these up. Okay, Wheel of Fortune. We're going to clarify. Oh my goodness gracious. That was like 20 cards. Not doing that. What do we need to know about the Wheel of Fortune? Does the collective need to know about the Wheel of Fortune? Please make it plain, make it clear. Sorry guys, oh, that was sticky. Yeah, okay. It's interesting that this comes out after the Emperor. It's technically the Seven of Wands energy, which is fire energy. The Emperor also represents fire energy, but under the Wheel of Fortune, this very mystical card right here, we get Stand Your Ground. So this is tarot and it's oracle. It's a pretty cool deck. Stand your ground. This is so, like, there's such a connectedness I'm feeling between the Emperor card, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Queen of Swords. And it all comes from going through this, like, crappy feeling period right now of becoming emotionally balanced, you know, of becoming, I talk about this all the time, the Buddha on the surfboard, content to ride the waves. You can have bliss, you can have despair, and everything in between, but the Buddha sits on the surfboard, and it's just like, I am content to watch this drama playing out in front of me. This is the drama of my life, and I don't always have to be absorbed in it and engaged in it, right? So, I don't know where I was going with that. Yes, that's the process that we're in, and when we move out of it, that's when we get into the action phase. I don't know when that's going to happen. This feels like a very big read. This feels more than just like today. This feels like more of a winter into spring kind of energy. But learning to stand your ground, learning to stand up for yourself, learning boundaries, learning what you stand for. This is going to be a good winter. And I do not say that often. I avoid winter like the plague and usually run away to Mexico because I don't want to deal with it. Which I can't do this year, at least not for the next few months. So, standing your ground. This is the lesson that's being learned this winter, and it comes from that emotional maturity. It comes from talking to your inner child, going back, being nostalgic, but understanding that there's some pain points there. We all have inner child work to do, so give the inner child a voice. Listen to it. Give it an opportunity to communicate what it is that it needs. Recognize that you're the only one that's going to be able to give it, not anybody else, which is hard, and there's a mourning period because we really want it from mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, or whoever raised us, grandma, grandpa. You know, if they're the ones who technically couldn't meet those needs in the beginning, they're probably not going to meet them now. So, yes, becoming grounded, stand your ground. When you spin the wheel of fortune, whatever comes through, it's going to make you wobble. It's going to make you waver. There's big opportunities coming through. Thank you so much. Charlie, great angle. Awesome. I hope you enjoy seeing other things. I know you can't see the cards super clearly, but I feel like it's better than before. Grace, thank you for the hearts. Stand your ground, even though you're going to wobble. Okay? When the wheel of fortune turns, this is some karmic stuff. This is big. This is big shifts in who we are, waking up as a collective to our power, stepping out of fear consciousness into the love consciousness. Can you imagine what this world would look like if we all were shifted into love consciousness as often as possible? Like, really think about that. If people were not acting from fear, from lack, from greed, and I'm talking about huge social systems as well, not just individuals, but the people who have the power and who are in control, if they were coming from a truly, deeply awakened and loving place, would our world look the way that it does right now? No, probably not. In fact, I can guarantee it would not. So this is the responsibility of the individual. And this is the responsibility, even though I get scared to even do these videos because I think you all are going to think I'm totally crazy, but this is the message that comes through, and I have to keep communicating it to people that we need to keep coming back to love. Love yourself, love each other, and even love those who are participating in a closed way, blinded to their own awakening. Because if we keep hammering home this, if we stand very, oh my God, it's coming together. If we stand very firmly with that foundation, we're developing the foundation of self-love, and we stand our ground. Can you imagine if we all do this as a collective and really communicate that with our clarity of the Queen of Swords, what the result can be? We're shifting from, I don't know what the previous age was, I'm not an astrologer, but we're moving into the age of Aquarius, I've heard. Whatever that means. To me, it sounds very much like a time of clarity and of moving into love. It's like the yin and yang symbol. When we live in the consciousness of fear, which is the current state of the world, we're all still perfectly capable of experiencing love. We have experienced love, right? But when we shift into the love consciousness, where that's taking up more of the space, and then the dot, the smaller experience, is fear, because we'll still experience fear when we're in the love consciousness, but there's a significant contrast there. The world starts to really shift. So it's our responsibility to not give in to the despair and the hopelessness that comes from our awakening process. Awakening is not easy. It is not easy. Oh my goodness. I experience bubbles in my stomach right now. There's fear in even communicating the message, because it's so easy for people to even watch this video and watch it in fear and think, well, that's just silly woo-woo. And maybe it is, but wouldn't you rather take a chance on love than fear? I guess that's what I'm doing in this moment. Oh my goodness. What's going on? Grace. Pisces. Is that our current age? The age of Pisces? Moving into Aquarius? I don't know. Pisces. Thank you for sharing that. Pisces is an interesting energy if that's what we're in. Or maybe you're a Pisces? Okay, we're going to clarify the Queen of Swords. Holy moly. Ooh, okay. There goes the card. Universe in reverse. Now, why is that upside down? We've got to clarify that more. I don't know if that was supposed to be in reverse. It just came flying out, so I'm going to clarify that. But underneath the Queen of Swords, this message, we got universe in reverse. Now that's interesting because the universe is the completion card. So if we go in the major arcana of the spiritual journey, we go from the Fool card, which is 0. It's the idea. The number 1 is magician. 2 is priestess, so shadow work. 3 is the empress, so bringing it to the 3D like Beyonce. Sorry, I can't talk. It's like Mercury retrograde, and I'm just like, it's really hard to communicate. Yeah, anyways, sorry. So the universe card It's really pretty. I'm going to show it to you. Look how pretty that is. It's like, whoa, hello, awaken, awaken. It's like poking through the veil and being like, oh my God, actually, this is what's up. This is what's going on. And the rest of us are like basically living in the matrix. It's all an illusion. Doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean that the systems don't oppress us and oppress particular groups of people. Like, that's true. I don't like spiritual bypassing. That kind of sweeps away the human experience and goes, oh, if we could only transcend our politics. Well, we're living the human experience, and we need to hear people's stories and acknowledge their oppressions and do something about it. That's a part of the awakening, not ignoring it. Just got to make that clear. It's interesting to me that this came out in reverse. You're not supposed to read this deck with reversals. So, I will admit, I am confused. What does that mean? I think it means that this is a very existential read. An uncertain future. We don't know. We don't know. You know, maybe spirit doesn't know. Maybe we're just in this process of a universal awakening, and it can go either way. So what are you going to do? Be a part of it. What an interesting time to be alive. Are you going to spread the message of love by healing yourself so that you can heal others? Because the Queen of Cups cannot help others if she's pouring from an empty cup. She can't. And I need to hear that message as well, because my neck and my back are starting to hurt, so I need to wrap it up. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. It helps no one, right? Well, thank you for the hearts. I love the hearts. So the universe card in the reverse. I'm going to place it sideways because I really think that this is kind of like, I personally have faith that things are going to change, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. So stand your ground in the foundation of love, particularly self-love, and love for others, and compassion and understanding. Oh yeah, that we're starting to come to. Isn't that funny? Okay, after the universe card, I was just clarifying it, we get crown chakra. Like, that's exactly what this is about. We're talking about awakening. We're talking about universal awakening. There's another reader that I watch on YouTube, and she calls it, she's funny, she calls it spiritual big jobs. Like, this is not like, oh, does he love me? Oh, will she go out with me? Oh, am I going to be rich and famous? It's like, oh my God, this is huge. This is big, big spiritual stuff. This is collective consciousness. And isn't it amazing that you're here and you're tapped in and we're having this moment of recognition? You know, it's beautiful. My heart is pounding. And I didn't have coffee, so it's not coffee. Oh my goodness, I could keep going forever. Let's do, what is this one called to, yeah, all right. Okay. We're gonna do this one. Oh, archetypes. I'm getting a yes, no in my head. Yes, no, yes, no, no. Alright, I'm going to shuffle it, I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to see, because I can't tell if the archetype, sometimes I get messages coming through, and it's like, is it a message for me, or is it for the collective? And I don't want to impose something onto the collective that's not relevant. So we're just going to, wow. Yeah, no, that was a whole pile, so look at that one. Aww. Well, that's nice. It's got a big heart on it. Okay, it's for all of us. I've never seen this card before. It says, pioneer, light attribute, passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. Shadow attribute, compulsive need to keep moving on. Okay, so there's some messages in here. It's funny that someone mentioned the Piscean energy, because notice, like, Piscean, I have a few Pisces folks in my life at the moment, and beautiful, amazing people, but who are struggling a little bit with, I don't want to say it, it's not nice, but like avoidance stuff, while also doing a really good job to try and face things at the same time, but like that compulsion to move away. And if Grace, we are currently in the age of Pisces, that would make a lot of sense to me, because then it's like the collective not wanting to look at their shadow, an avoidance thing of understanding that, you know, there's there's an ecological crisis happening, and yet folks who are in power really not wanting to look at that and think, oh, it's going to be fine. It's like, is it? You know, people waking up and really wanting to see change, and yet an avoidance thing. So that might have something to do with sort of still clinging on to, if we are in the age of Pisces, I don't know if that's true, moving into the age of Aquarius, where Aquarius, I believe, even though it sounds like aqua, I believe it's air energy. So Queen of Swords, opening up, awakening, universe, crown chakra, like busting the lid off of everything and being like, no, we have to change. We have to change as individuals and a collective. So we have to be a pioneer. So my 3 people who are watching right now, I love you so much. Be the pioneer. Look how beautiful that is. There's a heart inside of this light bulb. I love lamps. Oh my goodness, I love lamps. My apartment is filled with lamps because my apartment's really dark. Lamp. I put fringe on it. My other hobby, putting fringe on things, I guess. I was also thinking about getting bangs. Fringe. Anyways, we should wrap this up. Be the pioneer. Be the pioneer of love. Okay? I think people get uncomfortable and kind of cringe when we talk about love in this way, and they're like, oh, that's so cheesy. It's because of the energy of avoidance, of not wanting to go there because it's not familiar. And that makes sense considering an overarching energy that's been affecting the collective for a very long time. If you didn't grow up or be born into an energy of pure love, and instead it was living in a society that lives in fear and greed and competition, and you're socialized that way, to start to engage in the world from this like energy of love that starts in you and radiates outward, kind of like the light bulb, that's going to scare people. Like, it's going to freak them out. I used to be hugely resistant to letting people love me, loving other people in an unattached way. And that's what the love consciousness is. It's like how you can live in fear and still experience love. I've been there. I slip into that sometimes where you try to love people and it has a grasping. It's like, what can I get? Will you fulfill this need? Can you save me? Can you, that kind of love, versus coming from a shift into love consciousness, which takes time and we need to be gentle with ourselves. But when you shift into that, it's easier to navigate the concept of love. I saw a meme, I'll try and find it. It was earlier today, and it was about the ancient Greeks who had like 7 words for love. Different types of love. And these days we don't have a vocabulary to express all these different feelings of love. There's so many different kinds, and if we start to express that and embody it and radiate it out as much as possible, even on the hard days, and it's not spiritual bypassing. I mean, if you're having a hard day, give yourself the love. You don't have to give it to other people, just give yourself the love. But always coming back to that as your foundation, Emperor energy, that is going to create a massive internal shift. And the more people who choose to do that, that's what creates the movement on a larger scale. So be the pioneer and embody the light attribute of that. Read it again. Passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. Grace. I got the info from an episode of Ancient Civilizations on Gaia Network. Really interesting series. Yeah, I'm not subscribed to Gaia. I just heard about it, but I've seen clips of Ancient Civilizations, and I love it. I got to go to Egypt when I was 15, and it just blew my mind. And if I had the book, I'm not going to run off into my bedroom and get it, but I was just in a secondhand store, and I found this like fat book of all of these images from Egypt. And there is so much incredible ancient knowledge embedded in these past civilizations, whether it's Egypt or ancient Mesopotamia, all those things. They had a knowledge of this, they had an understanding of these lessons. And we keep trying to learn them over and over again in these cycles. History is repeating itself, and yet it's all kind of been outlined for us already before in history. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Could talk about this stuff forever. It's ridiculous. Anyways, by the way, if you are looking for information that's more specific to you and your situation, I have a sale on personal reads right now because I want it to be more accessible to people. Usually $80 to $120 for the longer reads, and everything's $55 right now. Also open to sliding scale and traits. So I'm going to wrap this up for the collective, and we're going to do Work Your Light Oracle. This guy here. Very pretty. Looks like cotton candy. So what does the collective need to know right now in this apparently very interesting process? And then moving towards love, greater love, love for ourselves, love for others, compassion and understanding. What do we need to know in order to work our light? Because if you're here right now and you're watching, you are definitely a light worker, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Oh my god. Oh, that was a lot. I'm not going to take all of it. These ones kind of stick to each other. What do we need to know as a collective? Oh, okay. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm not going to take those ones. So the first one that came out was this one here. Forgive me if I butcher the word. Pleiades? It's P-L-E-I-A-D-E-S. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Pleiades? Anyway, it says, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. What did I just say? If you're watching this, you're a light worker. That's not some big woo-woo concept. That's literally just recognizing your own light, your own divinity, that you have stardust inside of you. We all do. So does my couch. So does my cat. So do all of my lamps. But it's recognizing that we all have a responsibility. Your first responsibility is to heal yourself, to love yourself, and recognize that you are capable, and then set an example for everyone else and radiate that outwards. And we need it now more than ever. So, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. Look how pretty. I love it. It's making my stomach growl. I don't know if you can hear that. It's like blueberry, cosmic blueberry. I'm going to go to the book really quickly and read it in case there's something else for us to know. Okay, did I miss it? Nope. Why am I struggling to find it right now? Sorry guys, this is going really long. I hope that it's helpful for you. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's the last one, 118. Beauty. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. Whoa. You are a soul who has a double mission, to grow at soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. If you have been called to write, speak, or channel, this is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all the souls, Pleiadians are the chattiest, and so perhaps you have already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension. I think that might be me. I don't know about you. I think that's all of us. Thank you for doing your part in the great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. I love that. It's all about light. It's all about light, and we have the love light bulb. Okay, I'm gonna do the little exercise here. Hold the card on your heart and say, I call upon Pleiadian consciousness of the highest realms and highest good of humanity to work through me. Let me be a channel for only the purest light of the essence of Source. Let me channel in a way that also serves me. Yes. So it's exactly what we've just been talking about. This Hermit and Queen of Cups energy, that's allowing yourself the space and the opportunity to do your healing work, to nurture self-love, so that you can then extend that to the rest of the world. I think that's really, really important. And it is an invitation for all of us to do that. And just remember that the Four of Pentacles energy, which was sort of the overarching energy, it's about shutdown. So if that's the way you're feeling right now, it's okay. Transmute that shutdown energy into that of the Hermit, because they both speak to going inwards, but one of them is in sort of a selfish nature. Maybe you feel guilty for taking time to yourself. Maybe you feel like you need to cut off from other people. You're isolating. Recognize that if you choose to perceive it this way, it could be divinely guided. It could be exactly what you need in order to come out much stronger with deeper roots. Again, it's a waiting game, so that you can stand your ground, grounded in this consciousness of love. Holy cow, did that ever go woo-woo? I love it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for you. And yes, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go do it. I'm going to try and get monthlies up in the next week or so. And if you want a private read, just reach out. Okay, sending you lots of love. Bye.